over 15,000 feet and freezing. Slipping out of the solace of our sub-zero degree sleeping bags, we laced up our boots and hoisted on our heavy backpacks. In the next few hours, we would ascend 3,000 feet, because today, my dad and I would ascend Mount Kilimanjaro. A couple hundred feet from the breach and low on oxygen, we heard a rumble from above. A rock slide. We ducked, but not fast enough. I felt a blow to my right shoulder. I was in pain, and my dad was worried, but up was the only option. So we kept going, and a little bit later, we reached the breach, only to see the true summit looming in the distance. But it didn't matter, because in front of us was this massive glacier, something we had never seen before. Teary-eyed and exhausted, we celebrated. In that moment, I realized that we are such tiny, fragile beings in this mind-blowing world, and that idea hit me like a rock, but that time it felt pretty good. I'm currently pursuing my dual master's degree, one in international policy and development, and the other in mountains. The first one I'll graduate with in May, and the second one will last a lifetime. Here, today I wanted to share with you why I think mountains make us better people. Probably familiar with this quote, "The mountains are calling and I must go," by John Muir. Perhaps it was growing up in the suburbs of Houston, Texas, but I was always ready to go. Houston is a giant, sprawling city, and everyone has a car, and it's very, very flat. The best views are from skyscrapers and highway overpasses, and they're of other skyscrapers and highway overpasses. I've always been very active, and growing up I played every sport on the map. From soccer to basketball to volleyball, you name it. Every single sport with lines and fields and courts and rules and boundaries. The mountains were my escape from a relatively comfortable, convenient, and linear upbringing. So when my parents started taking me to Colorado as a kid, I was mesmerized by this world of beauty and texture and no boundaries. The best modes of transportation were on 2 legs or 2 wheels or 2 skis. I could run along the river path or ski between trees, and there were no signs of traffic and anybody to tell me, stop. So the mountains always felt more like home to me, and largely thanks to my dad, I've been very fortunate enough to hike and camp and ski on a lot of them around the world. And I've learned a lot in the process about myself and about people in general, so I wanted to share with you 5 lessons learned today. The first one of those is vulnerability. The mountains teach us that we're exposed. We can choose to hide indoors, afraid of taking risks, or we can get out there and brave the elements, because we are all part of this greater ecosystem that requires our best selves to participate. It might be uncomfortable, but there's no time to be complacent. Second one is persistence, or the lesson of false summits. You're tired and time is running out, and just when you think you reach the top, there's another peak in the distance. You feel like you're lugging bricks, and your heart is pounding, your quads are burning, but your heart is pounding, and that's what matters, because you keep going, because something like this will surely happen in the future. Humility. You finally do reach the top, and no one's there to see you. You can take a picture to prove it, sure, but no one really cares. In that moment, only you know your success. You know your limits and how far you push them. We crave acknowledgement as humans, and up there it has to come from within, and that's enough. Awareness. No matter how well you know a situation or a mountain, the conditions were different yesterday, and they're definitely going to change tomorrow. The mountain exists in its current form only. You can plan and prepare ahead of time, but then the clouds roll in, and you have to make a decision in the moment. Ego aside, you have to know yourself. And finally, balance. I used to stare down at the hiking trail to avoid slipping on loose rocks or roots, because with my linear athlete mentality, I had to finish first. Until I realized that I could literally stop and smell the flowers, the wild ones with their colors screaming at me to slow down. Mother Nature reminds us to respect her and ourselves. So about 6 hours later at 11 o'clock, my dad and I finally reached the summit. Other than our guide who snapped the photo, we were up there alone. The summit was socked in with weather, so after all that we couldn't see anything. But it didn't matter, because we were up there together and I was with my dad, my rock, the one who taught me to always explore and push my boundaries and be vulnerable. That persistence pays, that I could do anything I wanted to in this life as long as I stayed self-aware and humble. And that this world can be harsh sometimes, but that it's something incredible, and we have to remember to take the time to appreciate it. And this is Edward Abbey, boundary pusher extraordinaire. Abby was an American author and a feisty environmentalist, whose words I latched onto a long time ago. In different ways, both of these men have taught me that the mountains are a hell of a metaphor for life and the best cure for burnout. And I wanted to share with you a part of one of my favorite quotes from Abby. It goes like this. So get out there and hunt and fish and mess around with your friends. Ramble out yonder and explore the forests, climb the mountains, bag the peaks, run the rivers, breathe deep of that yet sweet and lucid air. Sit quietly for a while and contemplate the precious stillness, the lovely, mysterious, and awesome space. Enjoy yourselves. Keep your brain in your head and your head firmly attached to the body active and alive. And I promise you this much. I promise you this one sweet victory over our enemies, over those desk-bound men and women with their hearts in the safe deposit box and their eyes hypnotized by desk calculators. I promise you this much. You will outlive the bastards. So I invite all of you to enroll in the best multidisciplinary master's program out there. Best bang for your buck that you can start now. It's the lifelong study of the environment and philosophy and psychology and more. Get out there and let the mountains unlock your hearts and hypnotize your eyes in ways that smartphones and computer screens never will. And let the mountains never let you let yourself down. Thank you.